how I first came about you was through Dragon's Den. I've been a big fan of Shark Tank, Dragon's Den.
One I'm really focused on is AI. People look at it and they shake hands with it, they have a little chat with it, they're bemused by it for a few minutes, then they wander off. I use ChatGPT Pro, £2,400 a year. My idea space, creative space, time I save, 20x easily. Mr. Zuckerberg, all he wants to do is be the first person to solve AGI. They're throwing billions at individuals to go and work for them. ASI, artificial superintelligence. We're in a world where we are the lesser species. And that's why everyone's terrified of AI and ASI. I met you 2 years ago at an event. I wanted to start a business. I didn't know what to do. You gave me some advice. He said, this is my wife. This is my truck. I pick up high-end cars. And he said, I'm doing £2 million a year. I just wanted to really thank you. Changed my life.
Hello, Piers.
Hello. Finally, we made it.
I
So about
know.
that.
That's totally fine. I think we got the time conversions wrong. I think we mistaken like 5 a.m. for 5 p.m. or something. But I'm glad we were able to work it out. We'll jump right into things.
Okay.
Here's, I guess, how I first came about you was through Dragon's Den. I've been a big fan of those entrepreneurial shows, Shark Tank, Dragon's Den. So that's how I first came across you for a bit of context. I guess, yeah, Piers, what has been your main focus over the last 6 months?
Well, you can probably guess. It's been an AI. So Dragon's Den, you see it in Australia, do you?
Um, we don't see it on Australia, but I would see it on my TikTok feed with clips.
Oh, you see the
I get a
clips,
bunch
right?
of
Yeah.
old Shark Tank, old Dragon's Den clips, and that's
Right.
how I got your
Easy,
name.
easy, easy on the old. So,
Yeah, 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 yeah,
uh,
yeah.
so flipping it. So the last, well, let's give a bit of context about me actually, because otherwise,
Please, I'd love that.
if I jump into the now, you won't quite understand how I got here. So so my mum's from Barbados, right? My dad's from England, hence the way I look. And I grew up in the north of England, like where the Industrial Revolution started, right? All the mills and the weavers' cottages and all that kind of stuff. And I was the only person who looked like me in that area, in my school of 2,500 kids. So it's quite an interesting place to grow up. But I was fascinated by the entrepreneurs industrial revolution, both the UK and the US ones a bit later, the Carnegies and all those kind of characters. And the Watts and the Bolton, these and Bar Kingdom, Brunels have fascinated me. And I got interested in business and also history, weirdly. And that's how I ended up becoming a lawyer because there's a bit of law, there's a bit of history in law and jurisprudence and a bit of sort of a law kind of track society. And that fascinated me. So I ended up, which was that's another podcast, this, right? Another debate, another discussion. But going from my school to becoming a city lawyer was quite a journey. And a city lawyer is where you're kind of lawyer in the city of London, the old city where the financial district. It's like Wall Street. It's the UK's equivalent of Wall Street if you think about that. So I became a lawyer, and I kind of qualified, but I was always in business. So from the age of 13, I had my own paper round business, and I bought papers wholesale, delivered them on Sundays because no one delivered on Sundays. And I learned all the lessons you need to know about business from that business, about you know, finding a niche, they didn't deliver on Sundays. Margins, I had to buy from the wholesaler, not the actual retailer. Delivering hard work. When I grew up there, when it snowed at winter, it covered your car. Doesn't do that anymore. And a lot of hard work, dealing with customers and feedback and, support issues, a whole lot basically. So I was always in business all through college, university, and then I qualified as a lawyer and I quickly decided that I enjoy law, but I don't want to be a lawyer. So someone said to me, you should go into investment banking. And my response was, what is investment banking? I didn't have a clue. So cut another very long story short, I ended up becoming an investment banker in the city, like Wall Street. But I was kind of like 25, 26 years old. I was earning the equivalent of, I don't know what the Australian dollar exchange rate is, but probably $600,000 US. It was nuts, absolutely bonkers. And back, that wasn't what it was then, but that's what it would be today if you kind of dealt with it, converted it with the time value of money. So I had always money and I was, doing quite well. But I was still fascinated by business. I had these kind of side hustles, as they call them these days. And then while I was beavering away, this is like leading up to 2000. So it was the kind of internet boom. And what was quite interesting at the time, the real interest in the internet was the infrastructure, the piping. It was Cisco became the most valuable company in the world. It was internet service providers, ISPs. It was it's a bit like AI to AI now, which we're going to talk about, is everyone's fascinated by fabs and NVIDIA and the large language models. And that, to me, that's the piping. That's the foundations on which far more interesting technologies and businesses are going to grow. So, for example, in the internet, it went from, the infrastructure to e-commerce to social media to cloud computing to software as a service to blockchain, and you're going to see the same in AI as well. So I kind of stepped out of the city in about 2000 and I kind of went into business, so dot coms, and I've been in business ever since. So they've all been technology, media, telecoms. Some have worked. I've done quite well out of it. Some haven't. Cost me a fortune, both in terms of money and just the heartache of business is not working. But you learn from that essentially. So it's not a bad thing. And in more recent years, I focused on what I call exponential technologies, right? And that wasn't always because I had a super clear plan. It's just I think I kind of gravitate towards the new thing, the thing that's in. I kind of live in the future, which is a bit of a problem of mine sometimes. I kind of live in the now, which you should do. So I'll give you some examples. So I co-founded, I'm the chairman of Atherton Bikes. So Atherton Bikes uses 3D printing technology. It's called additive manufacturing. So if you think about a layer of titanium that's a couple of microns thick and some lasers kind of melt it into a shape and it moves down a couple of microns. There's another layer of titanium. The lasers go again, and eventually it builds up a 3D structure, a component. And we use those to make bikes, like the joints on a bike, and then we slot in, or we actually bond. We use glue, it's bonding, carbon fiber tubes. And Atherton Bikes was co-founded by the Athertons, who are very well known in mountain biking globally, some material scientists, and some designers. We all kind of got together, 10 of us actually, started the business, and then what, 4 years later, we won the World Championship, first and second. We've won World Cup races, it's an award-winning bikes. We've now launched a slightly cheaper aluminium version. So we have the A range, additive manufactured, and the S range, subtractive manufactured, which is where you take blocks of aluminium and you CNC and cut out the shapes you want. And also, interestingly, we still bond the tubes in. Atherton Bikes. So the point there is the additive manufacturing, the ability to have it up. See this thing here? This is the 3D printer. So my kids call me and say, I've just seen this. Can you make it? And they send it to me and I print it. And with AI, what's amazing now is you can doodle something, turn it into a 2D picture, turn it into a 3D image, tweak it to this what you want, turn it into a CAD drawing, and then print it. It's insane. So 3D printing is the future manufacturing in whatever guise it ends up being, but it's an exponential tech. Another one is space. So I'm an investor in. I'm also a board director of SEN. So if you haven't heard of SEN, it's SEN at SEN. And that is founded by a friend of mine called Charles Black, who's been going at this now for a decade. He's designed space hardened cameras. So if you've seen the images of the Dragon spaceship docking at the International Space Station in 4K, there are cameras or his cameras. So again, space generally, exponential technology. And the one I'm really focused on is AI, which we can talk about. And AI to me is I keep trying to retire and failing miserably. And then this came along about 2.5 years ago. And with the co-founder Alok, who's the CEO as well, we kind of looked at it and thought, we kind of knew each other, not particularly well, but we kind of knew each other. We got talking, we had a shared interest, and we thought, let's just stop talking and start a business. So 2.5 years ago, which is quite a long time in AI, we started a business helping companies understand AI and how to implement it, hence the name, Implement AI. And that's kind of evolved now into a platform. So we've raised about 2 million, just over 2 million US in terms of finance to build a platform and scale it. So we now provide digital workers. So you might call them AI agents. They're on our platform and they've got like, shared memory, access to lots of tools, integrations. But the main thing is we're not focused so much on the technology. We use best of breed technology. We're really about the orchestration, which is obviously key, making it all work together. So that voice agent can, book a meeting, write an email, create a PDF, talk to people. It's got memory, integrate, talk to other agents. That's orchestration. But the implementation, because every business, doesn't have a lot of techies sitting there waiting to plug together some AI or AI agents. They don't know what they are actually in most cases. And that's what we help them do. So I think that again, that is the exponential technology because AI is an exponential technology that's going to drive other exponential technologies like design. So if we ever get to artificial general intelligence, it's going to help us design things like robots. So if you look at my LinkedIn, I write a lot about AI, but you'll see us wandering around at events with humanoid robots. So eventually, embodied AI will change our world. So first it's going to be cognitive labor, and eventually it'll be physical labor. So I think it's what it is, the biggest opportunity in the economy right now. It's the biggest opportunity probably since the first industrial revolution. And in many ways, it's the last opportunity.
Wow. After that, I think I
That's my
wrote,
intro. That's the intro.
yeah.
That's,
After that, I think I wrote like 7 questions. I'll see
yeah,
which
there's a
angle,
bit
which
to unpack there.
which path I'd want to go down. I guess the one question I wrote down was, did you build something of your own, peers, that you had a big exit from that gave you the liquidity to start investing and get into all these different companies and spaces?
Yes, I've had exits along the way. I've had things haven't worked out. I've never done the like, dropped a billion or 100 million. It's been like 5, 10, 15, 20. You know, you don't need much more money than that not to have to work, to be honest with you. But AI, I think, could be enormous. It's a big opportunity. So very quickly, I was, earning quite a lot of money. I was quite young. And I was investing that in businesses and starting businesses and helping people. And I still know today, buy small businesses. Some of those grew. And then again, we bought businesses, we grew businesses. Some became quite large, like 40 million pounds, like 60 million US dollars in terms of revenue, 4 or 5 million pounds, $6 million EBITDA. So, making money. And we sold them over time, some of them. Started new ones. I had one quite big business that didn't work out. I had probably two or three that haven't really worked out. But overall, you've kind of made money. Now, I've got businesses now, I've got an investment portfolio, and it's worth a considerable amount. But I'm kind of over that now, really, to be honest with you. If someone gave me 100 million quid, it's not going to change my life massively. I'm still going to go around mountain biking and drive around in my van. I prefer my van to hotels. I don't know, maybe I'm just getting old now and it's stuck in my ways. It's more really about can you generate value and wealth so you can do something useful with it, for the next generation, essentially. That's what kind of drives me in a way. And also, at the end of the day, you have investors, right? And great thing here, two things I love doing. One is ideally generating return for investors. It's not always possible. And also seeing the people who work with you, that you recruit, that you work with over many years, even if you don't know them when you first start, generate wealth themselves. And I've done that many times. I've made I don't know how many people, but over two hands full of people, millionaires over time. So that's a fantastic thing to see how it changes their life. That's what kind of drives me. But what drives me at the end of the day, like most entrepreneurs, it's not the money. It's the proving your hypothesis, proving you're right, taking it as far as you possibly can. And I think in artificial intelligence, it's the biggest opportunity for entrepreneurs. There are risks to it because it moves so quickly, and you got to be careful where you place your bets because you might wake up one morning and every time OpenAI launches something, you're like, what have they done now? Because people say, oh, they just killed 1 million startups. That's not strictly true because startups, entrepreneurs, as you know, they pivot. But this technology is transformative. So it'd be, I always say, there's a great book by Mustafa Suleyman, who's now the head of Microsoft AI. It's called The Coming Wave. And you think about it as this coming wave. It's kind of like something like a, not in a negative way, but a tsunami coming in. And the kind of, you can see the beach because the sea's gone out. Oh, this is interesting. What's going on? And there's this wave coming in and it's unstoppable. And there's no point paddling against it. There's no point trying to run away from it. You may as well try and surf it. And that's what I'm trying to do is paddle into that wave because it's going to be enormous. It's going to transform our lives, how you operate businesses, society. It's going to change what my children do. I have difficult conversations with my kids. What should I do? I don't have all the answers. I used to think I had the answers. Now I don't. It's an interesting one. And most people, interestingly, because I live in the AI bubble, they're not really aware of it. And what was interesting with the robot, we've got a robot. It's called Destiny Robot. It's also got a LinkedIn profile. So we go to events with Destiny, and we call it Destiny because it is our destiny. And people walk up to this humanoid robot, and it's a unitary robot. It's not particularly capable yet. We kind of steer it. It's not autonomous. It's going to kind of get in there. And people look at it and they shake hands with it and they have a little chat with it. It's got a large language model on board. and then they're bemused by it for a few minutes, and they wander off. And I look at people and I think it's like 100 years ago when the whole world was horse-drawn, and I turned up in a car. And you'd look at the car and you think, oh, how does that work? Four wheels, steering wheel, that's interesting. You'd be bemused by it. If you could take a selfie in a day, you probably would do. And then you'd get on with your life. But 10 years later, there are no horses. And it's that moment for people with robots, they just don't know it yet.
So, if you're 19 years old watching this and you want to, you know, be a part of building the pipes, or I think I remember I saw a clip of you talking about medical and AI, that's going to be a big thing maybe. How does like a 90-year-old position himself to be able to ride the wave?
So there's two vectors, I think, really. And you're right about healthcare. So I was saying earlier that you've got exponential technologies, and it might be additive manufacturing, space, it might be AI, it could be genomics, healthcare. And you're going to get exponentials on exponentials, like quantum computing, quantum and AI. They don't quite know how it's going to fit together, but it will do at some point. Quantum and healthcare, all these things, blockchain, it's all going to kind of fit together. And the two vectors, I would say. So one is what interests you, what you're good at. People always say follow your passion. Yeah, if you can, if you're lucky, but it's better to follow something you're actually good at. I've got a passion playing the drums. I'm not very good at it, but I can get a tune out of them. But follow something that interests you because you're going to spend a lot of time doing it, and something which you're good at. If it's a passion, you're lucky. So that's one thing is what is that skill set? What is your understanding of the world? What opportunity, what secret can you see because of your context training, education, understanding, interests? Other people can't to some extent. There's that. Then there's using this technology, and I mean this, becoming a master at it, right? Even I'm not a master at it, but you use it, especially if you're technical, you can code, you can take it to the nth degree now, whereas before you couldn't do. So, I'm not talking about vibe code, and people that can actually understand code. I think coding is eventually going to go away. But right now, there's that kind of time for several years where understanding a bit about technology and code is going to really help you. So take that expertise, those insights, and become a master using this technology, and then fuse the two together in a way where you think you can maximize value. And the last bit of advice is to do try and look a bit further out. It's quite hard. There's like a fog 3 years out. You can't really see through. And try not to build something which is clearly going to be headed off at the pass by one of the big AI model makers because what they do, OpenAI, Google, they've got big companies, right? Got lots of resources. The models, the technology itself is going to become commoditized. So they've got to add value, and they've got to add value in tools, services, consultancy. You can see them adding this stuff on top because that's where, like I said at the beginning, the value eventually accumulates. It doesn't accumulate at the infrastructure layer. It does, but it becomes the margins get squeezed out of sight. So the value kind of accumulates higher up the kind of that pyramid of value, and that's what they're aiming for as well. So try and I mean, even our business, Implement AI, we look at it and think, oh, well, you can build agents here, you can build agents there. But our magic sauce is, and this is an opportunity, is it's the implementation. Every company I talk to, yesterday I spoke to a light engineering business. The day before that, I'm talking to a company that has clinics, veterinary clinics. They're all completely different use cases, a different way of thinking, a different way they want to run their business, and they're not technical. So actually, implementation is a big opportunity in different sectors as well. But that's what I do. It's not what anyone else has to do. But they're the two vectors. Think about that and try and mesh them, and just keep going and iterate. And if something, if that coming wave washes over your business and it's no longer relevant, fine, you would have learned something.
Let's say, you not only have a passion, but you're really good at mountain biking. Or me, I love traveling, I love vlogging, I love filming interactions with strangers and having these funny, sort of memorable moments. But these are things that I don't know how to make money from. If I was into mountain biking, I would have no idea how to make money from that. Does AI make
That's
that
why
possible?
though. Well, I'm not good at mountain biking. Mountain biking thinks of it, but I can get downhill with lots of body armor. I wouldn't say I'm very good at it, but I can get down a hill. That's why you got to be careful about your passion and what you're good at. So my passion might be, I'm in my 50s now. My passion is pointing a bike down a hill and trying to get down it, right? That's not going to be a great idea when I'm in my 70s because You come off that thing, you're going to spend a week in hospital. So it's that kind of finding that space between the passion, the job, and your experience and capability, what you're good at, and finding somewhere in there something that actually works. They always say that, if you look at those kind of vectors and it's something that you're very good at, but there's no market for it, it's a hobby, isn't it? If there's something that you're good at, you don't really enjoy it, it's probably a job. So you need a market for it as well. That's the other issue. So mountain biking, I got into mountain bikes by making bikes. Couldn't have done it myself at all. Wouldn't have a clue. But I've got the Athertons, that's the name above the door, who are experts in riding bikes and setting them up and understanding how they work and the geometry. You've got experts in designing bikes, and you've got material scientists, experts in the physics of making these things. So you bring together a team. So if you're looking at an opportunity and there's a part of it you don't understand or you're not good at, then think about co-founders and putting a team together and doing it that way.
So yeah, I love that. When it comes to personal branding, especially as you're now doing podcasts and doing more PR and sort of getting your face and name out there, Piers, are there any cool ways that AI can help make that exponential?
So I use ChatGPT, right? Because it's got memory and I've just started using it. And that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to get you to use their AI because once you've used it a lot, you're not going to use another one, to be honest with you. And I use it for everything. So you should be using it as your infinitely patient sidekick, mentor, sounding board, whatever you want to call it, for everything. So I've got some ideas, now I use ChatGPT Pro, which is quite expensive. People say, oh, it's £200 a month. And I'm like, I'm talking English pounds now, right? It's £2,400 a year. I get 20 times the value of it out of that in terms of my idea space, creative space, time I save, ability to productivity, 20x easily I get out of that. So it's worth the investment. So as I said before, become a master at using this technology. Use it to chat, use it to understand you, give it ideas, get feedback. Don't completely cognitive offload. That's a bad plan, but use it to help you do more, understand more, and be more productive. And then use it to try images. Use it to make videos, not because you have to or probably need to, but just do it so you can understand the power of it. I mean, look at when you put this podcast out, Sora 2 that is out there. And one of the things that when I do quite a few keynotes and I have my slides, and I do the examples. Remember Will Smith eating spaghetti? It just looked rubbish, like spaghetti spawning out of his ears. And then you had a couple of at beginning of 2025, you know, Sora kind of one and ended up 2024. You had Google VO, you got Kling, like HD quality videos, pretty good. Then they added audio, which was insane. And now you've got the video and the audio, and it's perfectly produced, and it's indistinguishable from the real world. It's insane. So by following that, tracking it and using it helps you understand what exponential change looks like because it's visual and it's real. It's not kind of abstract code. So I say become masters at it and just use it. Use it for everything, but don't cognitive offload. Use it to. So for example, people say, "What do you mean?" So I write LinkedIn posts quite a lot. So I've got ideas and I'll record them even in ChatGPT or write them down. I'll say, right, here are all my ideas. What do you think? I've got ChatGPT Pulse now. I wake up in the morning, it's like, Piers, I was just thinking last night, because I know you were looking at this. What about this? And they're like, what? It's pretty good. So you got the ideas, you list them out, you'll come up with one idea. I like that one. Um, I think I should approach it. So it'll give you like a breakdown. Like, okay, let's go and research it, sort of research it. You pull together the research, read it, pluck out the bits you think are interesting, and think, okay, I want to go with this scene, this story arc, whatever it might be. And then you'll maybe even get it to write a first draft, or you do a first draft. Now, when I'm not typing anymore. I'm talking to it. So stop typing. It's a waste of time. Talk to it. Press the talk button and speak to your AI, and then talk to it. Say, oh, I like that. I like number three. That's pretty good. Okay, right. So what I want to do is start like this. I want it to have a hook like this. I want it to be thoughtful in this way, and I want it to be interesting in this way. I probably need some more research on this, and put it all together. Get a draft. Then go through it yourself and make sure that it's you as you would write it, and then get it to check it. Make sure no typos, funnies, it's gone off track somewhere. It'll give you great feedback. Get it to give you a SWOT analysis, so it's not just blowing proverbial smoke up your backside. Just look, get a SWOT analysis, and then maybe you tweak it again and publish it. And if you need an image, ask it based on that article, essay, whatever it is you've written, post. What image do you think I should use? And it'll generate one, or take one you've got and tweak it. I did one the other day where I was talking about the how if you wear a tool belt, your job's got more longevity than if you work at a computer. So, I took a picture of me that was quite a new one actually. It was like a portrait someone took, and I put me in a high vis jacket and a hard hat, and with a data center building site behind me. Just generated that out of nothing. And the beauty of it is, I'm sort of quite creative. I wear my hands around a lot, right? I think in pictures, but I can't draw them. Whereas now, I can think of anything, anything. Cartoon, photo, video, image, line drawing, pencil drawing, you name it, and I can conjure it into existence. I could never do that before. I needed designers and iteration and expense. And now that your creative space visually is infinite.
Makes sense. I think that I wrote down like the next step would be then like asking it to scrape your last 100 posts, look at the engagement from all 100, it knows your exact tonality, and you could just have it on autopilot, post every day on your behalf, and optimize for what would have the most engagement.
You can do, but then you get into cognitive offload and AI slop. So what I
Mm,
do is say, here's a post, there was attraction. What do you think happened? It'll give you some feedback. Now, it's not really learning; it's getting more context. It's not like machine learning. But you've got to be slightly careful. You don't just sort of say, I'm going to cognitive offload, just go and do everything for me, because that's still not you.
mm,
And what's interesting, I think, the world's going to go full circle. People are going to want to pay more for and pay for more human experience. So they're going to want to talk to, you, and it's your podcast because they like you and your content and your story and your backstory and your journey. That's why they're following you. That's why they're listening to your content, not some AI generated content based on, the top three news articles in AI today with a generated voice and generated image, because anyone can do that.
mm. Yeah, because it's so scary with Sora too. It's like the conversation we're having now, like Sora can probably just with your face, with all your context, go through internet, create a Zoom-like looking clip of you saying something profound, and it's all AI generated.
Yeah, I mean, social media is screwed. I mean, I look at Instagram now, and I spend most of my time on Instagram not looking at the posts. I spend most of my time thinking, is that AI?
Hmm.
And I'm pretty good at picking AI, but now you can't. And often, even I get it wrong. I think, oh, it's not AI, it's real actually. And I delve into it, and it's generated. So I think social media, in a way, AI is going to just turn it into a load of slop, as they call it. And then what's going to add value is the content with provenance, real people, real backstories, real journeys. They've really put some effort into it. Now, you're going to use AI to generate it because you'd be stupid not to, but it's not just completely 100% AI generated. Look at YouTube, there's so many channels now that just generated AI voices over loads of random images that have been generated, And some of them are pretty good, but what you've got to be careful of as well is, again, we've got this world now where everyone's sort of falling into camps and throwing stones at each other. And technology and AI means you can generate content to accentuate and make that worse. And what you've got to try and do is find the middle ground to stand on and have conversations.
Given just the volume of just content marketing and AI sort of slop out there, as implement AI, how do you guys find customers, find leads, talk to people and have people, yeah, how do you guys do sales now? Like, how do you guys find customers? What's the way?
So we're quite lucky in a way that you've got my profile, so it's to start a business. So that helps in two ways. I get invited to lots of events to go and speak, and I talk about AI and I wear the brand. So people then engage with us. We've done a lot of events. We've got a podcast, the Implement AI podcast. So we're now top 10 in UK management in podcasts. It's 60 odd thousand downloads. It's a pretty well-known podcast in the AI circles. And that's because we don't focus on, AI ethics or what Elon Musk is doing or the latest model or what's just come out of China. We're kind of interested. That's not what we cover in the podcast. We just talk about the practicalities of putting AI to work in your business in a way that actually makes a difference and generates an ROI. That's what we talk about. So the podcast, it's a bit like why you do a podcast. That works really quite well. People and Alok and I, we're quite different people. We have a bit of sort of banter on there. People quite like that. So there's that, and then there's LinkedIn. A lot of content on LinkedIn. I tend to do more. You read my newsletter, thought leadership. Alok's much more about case studies, use cases, workshops. He's very good at that. So it's quite different content. But now we've built a platform, we are about to start advertising. So we can say that if you've got a clinic, for example, we kind of sell agent teams. This team, and it might be an analyst and a sales agent, or an analyst and a support agent, or a support agent and a computer use agent, whatever the team is. And it can be a team of lots of the same agent with slightly different setups, or lots of different agents that work together in a team. So we'll say to clinics, you might want an analyst agent to analyze, say, your phone calls, and then a sales agent to take that data and engage your customers, the ones that were interested, but you didn't follow up, for example. So it's a team. So we can put those together in like a product almost, and then market it. And then hopefully then when people buy it, it's easier to deploy. We also do the more complicated things where then verging on managed services. We're building an end-to-end solution. So what we want to do to scale though is much more of the repeatable stuff. And what that means is all the setup, we start to use what we call sort of agent blueprints, but also agents, which is slightly bonkers, agents that set up the agents.
Hmm.
It's like that film Inception. It'd be like agents managing agents that are setting up agents.
The other day, I got a call. It was from a broker they saw my car listed online. I was like, hey, is your car sold? And I heard clicking noise, like typing noise in the background. I was like, no, it's not yet. So, oh, is it like it was just talking to me? I was like, do you know why? How long it's been listed? And then after a while, I was like, I'm pretty sure this is a robot. And the typing was just fake. And then I would just ask random questions that's very off script and it couldn't answer. I was like, wow, like that fooled me for solid 30 seconds. Like with the fake typing, the authentic voice, it somehow knew the way of questioning. And I was like, wow, like probably an agency sold this implementation to this, I guess, car dealership broker. And I was shocked.
Yeah, so we have voice agents inbound and outbound. And if you want to, you can have background noise typing, or you might have heard that call center background noise, like people chatting in the background. So you can have all that. These are options basically. Now, I think some ways people were kind of doing that. People asked for that because they wanted to sound as if it's a human environment. I think increasingly people don't care. So if you get a phone call from an AI or a human, either one, and it adds value or it solves a problem, you don't care. If you get a rubbish phone call about something you're not no interest in from a bot, a human, or a very good AI, it's going to annoy you. So it's about who they're calling, why, and what value they're adding. Because eventually your phone, if you think about it, will not stop ringing from AI voice agents. Once your phone number's out there, you will be on some list and you will just get thousands of phone calls. You'll have an AI agent answering your phone to filter out the AI agents. That's where the world's kind of going. But the point here is that it's always dangerous in when you're confronted, if that's the right word, or engaged with AI. People often say to us, yes, but it can't do this, or yes, but it can't do that. I'm telling you now, when we see it now in some changes we're making, within 12 months, and I'm pushing the boat out, they'll be indistinguishable from humans. And maybe within 12 months, definitely within 24, avatars will be indistinguishable from humans. Now, there is some risk to that your mum calls you on FaceTime and says, hi, I'm in the shop. I don't know what the local shop is where you are. I'm in the shop. I've left my purse. I'm at the till. I've just spent £47. Can you send me some money? Here's my bank details. It's not your mum, but it literally is a video call, not a voice call of your mum that's been plucked off Facebook to call you and got your number from somewhere. So that's the downside of it, is the bad actors can use this technology at scale to rip people off. But we have to then build in, what we do as well, guardrails and ways in which you can detect that and making people aware of those threats. But voice agents are extremely powerful. If you think about our conversation now, right? There's no other way you can capture the nuance, the sentiment, the data, if you want to call it that we've shared. There's no other way. And previously, the only way to use it was to get somebody to listen to it, or in real time listen to it and make notes. Now you can go back through the whole thing in the nth degree and analyze it for, if we this was a sales call, for has the salesperson stayed in line with the training? Have they done the cross sell? Have they done the upsell? Have they missed any opportunity? What is Andy's propensity to buy? Does he understand the product? Should we follow up? I mean, you couldn't do that before. There's all these dimensions you can analyze. So voice is the most powerful data in I think e-commerce, in terms of AI driven e-commerce, because of the amount of data you capture. And then when you go back to engage with you again and market to you, I've got all that information. So now people get, when you say hyper personalized marketing, people glaze over, but you can absolutely do it. If you had a database of 10,000 people and you used to send 10 different emails to batches of 1,000 people based on their profile, or two emails to 5,000 batches because of slightly different profiles. Now you can send 10,000 email to 10,000 people that are designed around them. That's the difference.
Wow. This is more of a selfish question. When it comes to growing your podcast, and I have a podcast as well, has there been any interesting ways you've implemented AI to scale things when it comes to reach, growing listeners, getting to 60,000 downloads a month? Is it just simply exporting this into like a clip maker and then just mass uploading these sort of AI generated clips? Any thoughts?
So, well, we haven't done any of that. So we have a little bit of budget, a couple £100, nothing massive, but it's really been the content and and being consistent, which can be quite hard, as you've gathered trying to get me on a podcast. It's being consistent, and it's having content that's differentiated, actually. So again, we talk about the practicalities of AI, not about the AI's impact on society, which I do write about in my LinkedIn newsletter. But the podcast is very specific and it adds value. That's the key thing. People are going to listen. So many of our customers or prospects say to us, I'm a big fan of the podcast. I hear that all the time. I get stopped sometimes now. People say to me, "Oh, Piers," and I think, "Oh, they know me from TV," and they're like, "I love your podcast." It's quite good. So podcasts, I've been on lots of them. It's about adding value and being just consistent. So we're on nearly episode 70, which is quite a lot if you think about, we're doing what, one every 2 weeks probably. So in our market, we've been at it for quite a long time. And then put some budget behind it, because it does make a difference. Not a massive amount, but it can make a difference. And we've got a company that helps us produce it. So not so much produce it, but they do the editing, they do the clips, get your clips made, make them look professional, get them out there. And obviously I've got, on LinkedIn, maybe what, 40 odd thousand followers, and Alex's got probably up to 12,000. So it helps get the message out. But I wouldn't just chop it into a million different clips and upload it everywhere. It doesn't, not going to work.
I see. You talked about your sort of upbringing, growing up sort of north of UK and sort of just coming from nothing. Um,
Well, I didn't come from nothing. My mum had a BMW, to be quite frank. But my mum and dad were working class, a nurse who came from Barbados, a working class lad in Manchester. And they probably worked very hard, and we were kind of middle class, if you want to put it into a pigeonhole. So I wouldn't say I came from nothing, but I did grow up in a troubled area, went to a very troubled school.
hmm. And when I look back at my history, I felt like growing up in a troubled neighborhood with in a troubled school, it sort of helped make me become who I am. When I do get kids in the future, yeah, like I'd like the kid to sort of be similar to me. I don't know, like maybe not, but that means I guess I'd have to put it through hardship. But if by then I'm pretty well off and I can sort of afford to give them, let them go to a nice school, grow up in a nice neighborhood, they might be missing out on the things that shaped me. What has been your philosophy when it comes to raising kids, Piers?
So I've got two daughters, 17-year-old, 14-year-old, and a stepson who's 16. So they're all at interesting ages, teens, and they're all going through the usual teen stuff that we all went through. Who am I? What do I want to do? Why do I want to do it? And why am I at college? Why am I at school? AI, is it worth doing anything now? Should I go to university? And I used to have all the answers really, and now I don't. Then it's not quite as clear, to be honest with you. So the point really is, it doesn't really matter what you do, how much money you've got. Your kids are still going to go through the same shit. It's just life, and you've got to sort of support them along the way. The difference now, I think, is yeah, my grandparents were educated in a very similar way to my children, and that's not going to work going forwards. So now I'm saying to them, and they don't really understand it because they haven't got the context. You've got to start thinking about what it is you're going to do in a future that isn't what we thought it was going to be. Now, they don't really understand that. I can kind of see it, but again, I think there's a fog 3 years out, you can't really see through. So the point really is whether it's your children or whether it's any other person, because sometimes your children can be the hardest people to talk to because you're the parents. Say your example, you realize that you've done something with your life and you want to help other people. Often people overlook the simplest things. You don't have to write massive checks, become a lifelong mentor. I spend time with people. It can be minutes, it can be half an hour, it can be a phone call, it can be a conversation yesterday at an event. I was at an event yesterday and there's a 15-year-old lad wandering around with all his like fucking podcasts. He had a tripod, a camera. I said, "What are you doing?" He's going, "Oh, I dropped out of school. I'm homeschooled. I've got this amazing idea. I want to create like a life park because I don't really fully understand the full idea myself yet, but it's a park, like a bit theme park, bit of somewhere where you experience the world and life, where people can go and detach themselves from technology and learn something about the world." And I was like, "That's really interesting, actually." And he goes, "And here's my deck." He's got this deck in a folder, and he's even made it was an event with like name tags. He's even made his own name tag with this name on it. And I thought, fair play to him that he's come out on his own and he's wandering around. And as someone like him, I'll be like, right, in the smallest way possible, I'll spend half an hour with him. I might have a call with him, whatever it might be. I introduce him to someone that may be able to help him as well because he got out there and he did something. So those moments you spend with people like that, even if you think you're not some massive CEO or a famous person or politician, you can transform lives. And I'll give you some real examples. So I was on a motorway in the UK a couple of years ago. This happens to me probably twice a year. Happened to me the other day. Someone said to me the other day, and then people say to me, "You don't remember me, but we had a conversation in a coffee bar or an event or whatever, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years ago." And you gave me some advice, and I asked you for some advice, and I just wanted to come over and thank you because it made a massive difference. And I can't remember them. I don't know what I said. I don't even know when it was, where it was. And they go, "Oh, thank you." So I was on the motorway about 2 years ago, and we were in traffic, UK motorways, and we came to a standstill. And there's a chap flashing me in this van. And I thought, oh no, have I cut this guy up? And he eventually got to the side of me. Now I had a van, I've got like a van conversion, and I had some branding on it. And he recognized the branding. It was my company. And he thought, he can't be driving it because surely he's got a helicopter or chauffeur. So he pulls at the side of me, clocks me. He's, so I wind the window down. Window goes down. I'm like, sorry, did I cut you up? He's like, no, 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 no. I met you 2 years ago at an event. I had a job. I wanted to start a business. I didn't know what to do. You gave me some advice about starting on the side and, about not, I can't remember exactly what I said to him. But anyway, he said, "This is my wife. This is my truck. I pick up high-end cars." He's got some Bentley with a blanket over it on the back of this thing because the companies don't want these things, to be seen broken down. And Aston Martins. And he said, "I'm doing £2 million a year. I just wanted to really thank you, changed my life." And he drove off. That was the end of that. So the point is, you have a lot of social capital, not money, social capital, your network, who the networks you built up, the networks you maybe grew up with if you're lucky. And if you just share that capital, sprinkle it on people whenever you can, you'd be surprised that deflecting somebody by a couple of degrees today, downrange 10 years, makes a massive difference. So I met another guy. I was on a TV show called The Secret Millionaire. It's a bit like Undercover Boss, where you go to a community and you meet people and you pretend you're somebody you're not. And then at the end of it, you help charities. And I was in a prison and I met a young lad there and I thought, why is this guy in prison? He's very intelligent. Anyway, it turns out, long story short, intelligent guy, very ambitious, not challenged at school, wanted to make some money. His friends made money in certain ways. He tried it, got caught, went to prison. Anyway, so I took him out. well, he got out of prison, and I mentored him a little bit and gave him a job, made him redundant, which was quite hard work, quite not an easy day. He started a business. He went back into IT. Well, I trained him in my business, and then what? Where are we now? 14 years later, when I met him, probably 12, 11 years after he left prison, he's now earning hundreds of thousands of pounds a year as a cloud infrastructure architect with a family. And again, that's just an example, not mollycoddle, just I'm the uncle he never had. They could open a door, give him a job, bit of experience, bit of advice, deflected him here, downrange 12 years. He's in a very different place. We could all do that.
Wow, that's beautiful. Piers, based on sort of what you shared, would the main sort of lesson to young people, people who are just not too sure what to do, be something like, after this podcast, I'm going to open up ChatGPT, I'm going to leave a 15-minute voice message saying, hey, here's my circumstance, here's how I'm pivoting, these are my skills, I want to be able to just pay the bills, make 5K a month, what should I do? Is that the first step? Is that the advice? Sort of when you talk about using AI, getting good at it, could you even ask it to teach you how to make money?
I don't know the answer to this anymore. I struggle with it because it all depends on when, if and when they solve, say, AGI. So imagine that ChatGPT is not just AI, it's AGI, right? So it's better, cheaper, faster than humans at all cognitive tasks. So then you've got to think to yourself, if I'm doing anything in front of a computer with a mouse and a keyboard, an AI is going to be better at it than me, period. So a lot of jobs just go away. And I mean that.
Mm.
So I look at it like this, and this is a bit abstract, but anyway, I can get my head around it. It's like a pyramid, I think of kind of work, right? And it's been filled from the first industrial revolution, with machines, steam engines, second revolution, railways, electrification, consumer goods, third industrial revolution, the internet, telecommunications, technology, cloud computing, and then the fourth one's AI. It's been filled with technology. And there used to be tools. The difference now is we are developing intelligence, and the intelligence can use all the tools. So even software right at the top layer is software as a service. But why do you pay per month per user for it? Because a human's got to use it. And increasingly that's not going to be the case. Now, the great news was historically the pyramid got bigger. Populations grew, GDP, working class, middle class, the whole thing. Great. So although it was being filled with technology, it was getting bigger. So the space left for us, mere mortals, was getting bigger. Now it's not. It's actually shrinking in some most cases because human populations are shrinking, especially like in Africa. Um, and the technology is filling it faster. So the gap for us at the top to add value using that technology is actually getting smaller. So I think eventually there'll be fewer jobs than people that probably want to work. But if you do want to be one of those people that's working and contributing and not is on a universal basic income, you got to think about how do I add value to customers, partners, other businesses, whatever it might be, my local community, using this technology or not using this technology because you make hand-built chairs or something. I don't know. So that's people, and people pay you for that. So that's what you've got to start thinking about is where is my place in that paradigm? I don't have the answer yet because I'm not sure how quickly this tech's moving, but I am confident that at the worst case, we'll have AGI within 10 years. Most likely, if you talk to the CEOs of Anthropic, OpenAI, Google, Microsoft, Nvidia, within 5 years. So the point I made about if you use a mouse and a keyboard at work, you've probably got 5 years. If you wear a tool belt to work, you've got 10. It's probably true. And by got, I mean until this technology can kind of do a lot of what you do, and you've got to find a way to add value on top of that. And that's where the human experience comes back. But we can't all be jazz pianists or jugglers.
Because I'm a big fan of the flywheel effect that Jeff Bezos talks a lot about in doing something that can compound over time. So as you were talking, one of the ideas that came to mind was I should just call up every dentist and pitch them a voice agent that could go through their list of clients that haven't had a cleaning in 6 months and do bookings, and basically that's something a lot of dentists will probably say yes to. But in 6, 12, 2 years, I don't know if I could keep doing that. Dentists will probably be able to do it.
Well, there's a lot of people doing that, and then We do that to some extent, but it's not just about this selling it, it's the setting it up, supporting, delivering it. It's not as simple as that. And that's where all these things fall down. There was some research from MIT saying that 90% of AI projects fail. And in our podcast, we've actually got an episode going through that and a long list of reasons why they probably did. And the top of that list really is that they're not looking at the problem and solving it using the technology. They're looking for a problem to apply the technology to, which is slightly different. So anyone almost can set up a voice agent to make phone calls.
Mm.
But can you set up a voice agent that has the infrastructure below it, the guardrails? The voice is right. It's set up for that company. It's supported properly. It's upgraded. That's the difference. Fire and forget. Set it up, get paid, disappear into the night isn't going to work. You're going to have a very unhappy customer at some point because most companies are not technical. They're dentists or they're a shop. They've got a shop. They're not going to sit around vibe coding.
Yeah. Piers, do you have a coding background? And if not, have you been able to vibe code? Is it something that someone like me with no coding background could do?
No, I did a bit of HTML in about 1999. I haven't coded since.
And then
I,
have you
I don't
been,
need to code. People that can code, coding, most of it is going to go away. You will talk to technology. Applications are going to go away. I mean, think about it. You'll sit, so now you've got a CRM, you've got a nice database, all your customer information in there, and you've got a mechanism where you can take some of that information and write an email and add images and links, and off it goes. So now you'll be able to, in the future, you just say, look, I've got I've got a list of customers somewhere. I think it's on my OneDrive or my Gmail, G Drive, Google Drive, whatever it is. It's the ones that came from this event. Go and find that and set me up an email nurture based around this kind of content. This is what I'm thinking. Give me some ideas and I'll do it. And I'll need some images for that as well. Either get them off the internet, go and look in this folder or generate them. And then maybe a video. Okay. And maybe I'll put a video in actually. So I haven't got time. Use my avatar. Brilliant. Well, let's have a look at that. Yeah, that's great. Send it. That's it. And if it needs code to make any of that happen, it'll just write it.
as we dig deeper, we see how crazy the world's coming. I guess what's stopping you, Piers, from just mountain biking and traveling the country in a van all year round with your family? What keeps you keeping the stress of having families on a payroll, keeping the stress of having investors money that you want to give them return? That's a lot of stress on your shoulders.
It is.
What keeps you
That's why
motivated
I
to keep
enjoy
that
it.
on?
It is, I agree. I mean, everyone forgets that actually. Taking money off people is actually really stressful. And I've done it. I've done it off investors or friends, and some work, some haven't. And I'm not the kind of person that just thinks, oh, well, tough. I actually don't sleep for weeks. It gets to me. So, having said that, you never start out with a business and an idea, a hypothesis, and raise investment thinking it's not going to work out. You've done your homework, you do your best. Sometimes it doesn't work, the market's changed, the timing's wrong, the tech doesn't work, the hypothesis just wasn't right. But your investors looked at it, they read your deck and they kind of thought, okay, yeah, there's something in this actually. It's got a good chance of this working. But most don't. A lot of AI companies won't work out because they've done something which hasn't really got longevity. I mean, people all the time and say, "Oh, I'm building AI. It does this," and I'm kind of like thinking that's got probably 4 months at tops in terms of its kind of life. So I enjoy the process of building businesses. AI is fascinating because it's technology. It's going to impact the way businesses operate. It's going to transform the way businesses operate, actually, and it's going to have a longer term impact on work, society, the whole lot. So that's the big everything I've ever done. Think about it. Telecommunications, cloud, technology generally. As an investor or an entrepreneur, most of my tech entrepreneurship has been more enterprise IT, enterprise tech, not applications or SaaS. I've invested in those, never really done one myself. It fascinates me. And I think you can add real value. And also, I do lots of keynotes. I talk to people. I said, look, I am here to kind of sell, implement AI. I've got the logo and everything. But I actually do really believe that this can transform your business. I also really believe that if you don't use it to transform your business, you won't have a business.
On that. One last thing I've seen you mention, you talk about AI is going to replace all the IQ, so the only thing that's going to matter is EQ, compassion, care. What did you mean by that, Piers?
So you've got layers of AI, right? So you've got AI. So general GPTs, diffusion models, generative pre-trained transformers is a particular way of which they've developed to, it's gone from everyone says it just guesses the next word, right? To diffusion models that can create beautiful HD quality videos with audio. But this is still what I call dial-up internet. Like I said, I'm old enough to remember dial-up internet in like 1990s. I've got a Starlink on my van, my van conversion. That took 30 years. You've seen AI has been around for a long time, since the 50s, right? And the concepts and the ideas since Turing. But it's probably taken 30 years to go from dial-up internet to Starlink. In AI, you've probably seen that now. The same basic ChatGPT 2 chatbot to Sora 3, to Sora 2 in 3 years. Then it's going to be a year, 6 months, a week, a day, an hour, a couple of minutes, seconds. It's going to evolve like that. And at some point, you hear this thing about the singularity. And the singularity is where artificial intelligence, it's not about being conscious or sentient. It's just intelligent enough to start improving itself. And then it starts writing its own code, looking at it, deploying it, testing it, feedback, improving it. And that cycle speeds up very, very quickly. So you end up having something which is artificial general intelligence, which is something that, that's all OpenAI is trying to do. If you ask Sam Altman, the CEO of OpenAI, who makes ChatGPT, what is the raison d'etre of that business? It is literally to solve AGI. That is it. That's it. And they're all saying that now. Meta, Mr. Zuckerberg, all he wants to do is be the first person to solve AGI. And they're throwing billions at it. They're throwing billions at individuals to go and work for them. So at some point, you have this AGI, it's better than us at all cognitive tasks. It then begins to be self-optimizing, self-improving. Then you go from AGI to what they call ASI, artificial superintelligence. Now, I'm not entirely sure what that even means, but it's something that can think and do things, and it comes up with novel ideas, and it's solving physics. They reckon they're going to solve maths within 3 years. Solve maths, whatever that means. Then it solves physics. It starts to understand quantum physics that we can't get our head around. I certainly can't half the time. And it started to do things and design things in ways that we just can't even comprehend, right? It's just gone off. It's a new species. Hasn't really got to be sentient either, but it probably inevitably will become sentient and conscious. So then we're in a world where we are the lesser species. And that's why everyone's terrified of AI and ASI, because throughout history, whenever a more intelligent species has turned up on the shores of a less intelligent species, you know the story. That's why everyone's terrified of it. So that's the thing, is that there will come a point where I'm not a believer in I'm not the kind of doom. I don't believe in the kind of doom mongering of it. I'm more into the potential for abundance. It'll solve aging. It'll solve fusion. Energy will be free and abundant. We're going to live longer. We're going to have much longer health spans. But, people won't die of unnecessarily of awful diseases, which they do every day. People I know have. That is a great outcome for mankind. Whether we no longer have to work in a call center or stamping out widgets in a factory, is that a bad, or behind a computer in a desk in a cubicle, is that a bad thing? We just got to change our perception of it.
I love that, Piers. Two questions I always wrap up these podcasts with. One, any recent discoveries that you've been implementing to your day-to-day life?
Recent discoveries in what way? Scientific or personal?
I guess personal things that you've added to your routine or habits, something that
No,
you're
I'm
maybe
not really
using.
a. I mean, it's 9 o'clock in the UK. We started doing this podcast. I managed to get to the gym in the morning before the podcast, which is pretty good going for me. So I'm up at 7 in the gym. I'm not up at like 5:30 in the morning doing yoga, having an ice bath. That's just not me. One thing, my partner's much more sort of like spiritual than I am, I suppose. And one thing I mentioned actually maybe at the beginning, I tend to live in the future. So I tend to live like in my diary next week, next month, what's happening, where's technology going, additive manufacturing, AI, space. I need to live more in the present, especially as I get older, because there's going to be less of it. So that's something I'm trying to sort of change a little bit, is to be a bit more present.
Meditation or just intentional, just like, hey, let me get present right now.
Listen, I love the idea of meditating. I'm never going to do it.
Yeah.
I probably, I, I don't need to meditate. I need to just take some time out sometimes. Tell you one thing I used to do quite much more of is I used to ride road bikes, but now my road bike got nicked, and then the technology's moved on now. It's all like electric gears. I need to get a new one because I used to spend like, road bike, I'd do like 20, 30 miles, which takes a bit of time, right? 15 miles an hour, a couple of hours. And that was just thinking time. Never wore headphones. So that was actually my thinking time. And I'm not really doing that now because when you're mountain biking, downhilling, you don't have time to think. You're hanging on for dear life, trying to avoid trees and rocks and drop-offs. In my case, at my age now, trying not to leave the ground so much. So that's what I need to do really, is maybe get another road bike, spend more time on it, thinking time, be a bit more present, and spend a bit more time as you get older, actually. My partner also said to me that, working out, doing yoga, which I do quite enjoy, I'm useless at it. It's not optional anymore. It's something you kind of need to do.
You might have already answered it, but the last question I usually ask is any goals over the next 6 months that isn't work related?
Oh God. Uh, well, that's probably the opposite of work. It's to have a holiday over New Year, I think. I rarely. It's probably the only time really between Christmas and maybe early January where I actually don't have a lot to do. After that, all hell breaks loose. So I think probably actually go away, maybe head in your direction and have a bit of a break, which I haven't done for quite a while actually. Yeah, I'd say that. And ride bikes as much as I can while I can.
If you're in Australia and your family needs a tour guide, send me a message. I'd love to be a tour guide.
I'm not sure I'll get that far, but maybe the Indian Ocean. We'll see.
Yeah, yeah. Piers, where can people get more of you?
So I've got my website, pierslinney.com. That's my kind of personal site. You want to learn more about me. But I'm on LinkedIn. So, Piers Linney, and I write a lot there. I've got a newsletter. It's got about 10,000 subscribers now, about AI and more the big picture stuff, the thought leadership about, post-labor economy. How are we going to get paid? Things like that. So I've got that. And then implement AI. The website is implementai.io. But actually, if you Google implement AI, we come up, I think, probably top one or two or three in the after the 5,000 adverts. That's another reason why search is going to go away. Well, the internet's going away, but we can talk about that next time. So I'm not hard to find. Just Google my name or put into ChatGPT or whatever AI you use, and you'll find me.
Do you think domains are going to matter anymore? Like, should I sell studying.com? Is it worth anything in the future? Any thoughts on domains?
Um, uh, uh, I would say the value of domains will diminish. Whether they're going to go away, these things take time. It's Amari's law, isn't it? That technology, the transition takes a lot longer than people thought. But once it happens at a much faster pace. So the internet will go away. Your agent will talk to agents. You're not going to be surfing around, the internet. Our kids, your kids, are going to think it's going to think it's quaint. It's like me explaining to my kids dial-up internet. They're going to say, "You did what? You searched around hyperspace, and you did what? You searched, and then what happened? I got a long list of things to go and look at, but most of that list were adverts." You go, "Are you, sorry? They'll think we're insane." Now they'll have an agent that understands their mood, their budget, their likes and dislikes. You want a barbecue, you want a Barbie for the weekend, Saturday. My parents are coming. You'll go and talk to 455,000 barbecue retailers in a couple of milliseconds, like a high frequency trade. If you're given it authority, it'll buy one and get it delivered by a drone. That's where the world's going. So margins will get crushed and the internet's going away.
Piers, it was an honor to have you. Thank you so much for your time. I love how honest and real you are. But at the same time, you're super caring and thoughtful. I could feel that part through the screen. And not only that, you're just like knowledge packed. Everything you talk about, I can clearly see that you've sort of researched and studied and understand. and you've motivated me to play with AI even more. Like after this, I'm gonna
become a master.
Yeah. Thank you, Piers. Guys, if you made it this far, hopefully you guys got a ton of value. Please let me know your thoughts, and I'll see you guys next week on another episode of the podcast. Peace.
Thanks for having me.